You know, you're a little far from 8 Mile.
Luke, don't.
What are you, like, spokesperson for Geeks of America or something?
You know what I like about rich kids?
Good day and good night. Welcome back to the High and Low Retrospective, where we press rewind and relive the stories that shaped pop culture and sometimes change it altogether. Whether they were cultural behemoths that shifted the social landscape or cult classics that burned bright and fast. Today we're diving into a series that surfed in on a wave of early 2000s melodrama, redefined teen television, made indie rock feel like a vibe again, and somehow turned Chrismukkah into a legitimate thing. Yes, we're talking about The OC, a show that took the classic fish out of water story, set it against the beaches and gated communities of Orange County, and gave the teen drama genre, say that 10 times fast.
What did you say?
And gave the teen drama genre a sharp, knowing edge. Let's talk about the rise and decline, the soundtracks, the scandals, and everything in between. At its core, The OC is a fish out of water story wrapped in luxury zip codes, existential teen angst, and sun-drenched melodrama. The series follows Ryan Atwood, a troubled but intelligent teenager from Chino who's taken in by public defender Sandy Cohen and brought into the affluent, image-conscious world of Newport Beach, Orange County. There, Ryan is introduced to a new family, Sandy's wife Kirsten and their socially awkward son Seth, as well as a complicated new social world filled with privilege, dysfunction, and drama. The show explored everything from class divides to identity crises, with its central characters constantly caught between who they were, who they wanted to be, and the expectations of the world around them. Through the lens of Newport's elite, The OC offered a glossy yet emotionally resonant examination of adolescence, family, and the American dream on the edge of the Pacific.
Mom, I get it. I'm just here for the comic relief.
When The OC premiered in August 2003, television was at a fascinating crossroads. Reality TV had taken a dominant position on network schedules. Survivor, Big Brother, American Idol, they were all raking in huge numbers. Procedural dramas like CSI, NCIS, and Law & Order SVU, they ruled the ratings. Comedy was in transition, with Friends entering its final season, and shows like Everybody Loves Raymond and Will and Grace were holding strong, but the teen drama space was relatively quiet. Buffy the Vampire Slayer had ended in May of 2003, and Dawson's Creek had wrapped its final season earlier that year. One Tree Hill was just beginning, and there wasn't a clear frontrunner for the teen audience. On cable, HBO was in its prestige era, with The Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, and Sex and the City blazing new trails, but there was a gap in the market, one The OC would fill brilliantly. It had the gloss of primetime soap, but with a self-aware twist that gave it unexpected depth. The OC was the brainchild of Josh Schwartz, who at just 26 became one of the youngest creators of a network drama. Schwartz had grown up in Providence, Rhode Island, and studied film and television at USC. He had a passion for writing character-driven stories and an encyclopedic knowledge of pop culture, which would become the backbone of his dialogue. He wrote the pilot script while still in his early 20s, drawing on a variety of inspirations: his East Coast perspective on West Coast culture, classic outsider tales like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and even elements of his Jewish upbringing, which would later inform Seth Cohen's iconic Chrismukkah celebrations. Warner Brothers Television and Fox loved the script. Doug Liman, hot off the Bourne Identity, came on board to direct the pilot, and McGee joined as an executive producer, giving the show a cinematic and edgy flair. Fun fact, the original title for the series was Orange County, but it had to be shortened to The OC to avoid confusion with the 2002 Jack Black, Colin Hanks film of the same name. I remember that movie. That was a good movie. I liked it. Now, casting The OC was like capturing lightning in a bottle. Ben McKenzie, who had never acted on TV before, was cast as Ryan Atwood just days after arriving in Los Angeles. Producers loved his quiet intensity. He didn't even have an agent when he auditioned. Adam Brody was cast as Seth Cohen after screen testing for Ryan. His natural wit and sarcasm completely reshaped the role of Seth from a more neurotic Woody Allen type into the prototype of the 2000s cool nerd. Rachel Bilson, originally hired for just a few episodes, was promoted to series regular after audiences responded to her chemistry with Adam Brody. Her performance as Summer Roberts evolved from shallow socialite to one of the show's most beloved characters. Misha Barton was only 17 when cast as Marissa Cooper. She'd previously appeared in indie films and brought a fragile vulnerability to the role. Behind the scenes, the real-life relationships and tensions also shaped the show's dynamic. Brody and Bilson dated for much of the series' run. Barton, on the other hand, often clashed with producers, and rumors swirled about her off-screen behavior, which some insiders say contributed to her exit in season 3. And then there was the adult cast. Peter Gallagher's Sandy Cohen, eyebrows and all, became a moral compass and fan-favorite TV dad. Kelly Rowan brought nuance and restraint to the role of Kirsten Cohen. Melinda Clarke's portrayal of Julie Cooper turned what could have been a one-note villain into a layered and enduring character. The OC debuted in 2003. The timing was perfect. America was craving something breezy yet dramatic, and the early episodes delivered just that. The pilot episode debuted to over 7.4 million viewers. Critics praised the show's snappy writing and its refusal to talk down to its teenage audience. The rapid pacing and sharp dialogue were a breath of fresh air, and Seth Cohen quickly emerged as a breakout character, ushering in a new archetype of sensitive, sarcastic guys who read comics and listened to Death Cab for Cutie. The OC wasn't just a hit show, it was a cultural movement. The show's music supervisor, Alexandra Patsavas, curated a soundtrack that introduced mainstream America to indie acts like The Killers, Rooney, and of course Phantom Planet. The show's Bait Shop venue, which was introduced in season 2, was a real platform for bands to reach a massive young audience. The mix CDs and iTunes playlists were bestsellers and tastemakers. Even shows like Grey's Anatomy would later follow the OC's music-forward approach. And then there was Chrismukkah, Seth Cohen's fictional hybrid holiday that transcended TV and became a real-world celebration, spawning cards, playlists, and themed parties. Despite a strong start, the OC wasn't immune to the pressures of maintaining momentum. Creative differences, behind-the-scenes drama, and declining ratings began to take their toll. Misha Barton's performance was often scrutinized by critics, and her departure in season 3 was dramatic both on and off the screen. The decision to end Marissa Cooper's arc was bold and controversial. Some saw it as necessary for the show's evolution. Others saw it as the beginning of the end. The end of her storyline was shocking and delivered one of the most iconic scenes in teen TV history, if I may be hyperbolic here. It was set to Imogen Heap's haunting Hallelujah, but it also destabilized the show's emotional center. Season 4, while critically acclaimed for its humor and reinvention, couldn't recover the ratings. Even with the introduction of Taylor Townsend as a new romantic interest for Ryan and fresh energy from Autumn Reeser's performance, the audience had moved on. Fox canceled the show in 2007, citing low ratings, but in reality, the OC had simply run its course. Now, Josh Schwartz went on to co-create Gossip Girl, Chuck, Runaways, and Looking for Alaska, continuing to redefine teen television with a more adult edge. Stephanie Savage, who worked closely with him on the OC, became his producing partner. Ben McKenzie starred in Southland and Gotham, later becoming an outspoken critic of cryptocurrency scams. Yes, really, he did that. Adam Brody stayed active in indie cinema, married the OC superfan Leighton Meester, aka Gossip Girl herself, and he appeared in Shazam and Fleischman is in Trouble. Rachel Bilson led Heart of Dixie and launched a successful podcast career. Misha Barton took a hiatus from acting. She returned for The Hills' New Beginnings and has slowly re-entered the public eye. And just recently, Barton joined the cast of Neighbours, an Australian soap opera, proving that every actor's path is full of surprises. The OC gave us more than just quotable lines and indie playlists. It bridged the gap between glossy teen drama and character-driven storytelling. It showed that you can mix earnestness with irony and still make something meaningful, and it paved the way for shows like Gossip Girl, Skins, Friday Night Lights, and Euphoria. The show also helped redefined what a teen show could look and sound like. It wasn't afraid to make jokes about George Lucas or feature an episode titled The Rainy Day Women. It was a show that respected its audience's intelligence and their taste in music. And while its later seasons couldn't quite recapture the magic of its early years, its influence remains undeniable. So that's the High and Low Retrospective on the OC, a show that came in hot, burned brightly, and left behind a legacy that still echoes through the halls of teen drama history. It wasn't just a show about rich kids in Orange County. It was about identity, belonging, reinvention, and the search for meaning in a world obsessed with image. It shaped a generation of TV storytelling, launched careers, and gave us one of the most iconic soundtracks in network television history. Again, I'm being hyperbolic. From its trend-setting aesthetic to its genre-blending tone, the OC was more than a moment. To many, it was a movement. If you were a fan then, this is a cue to revisit. If you've never taken the trip to Newport Beach, well, let this be your invitation. And speaking of eras, stay tuned for our new High and Low Retrospective Class of special episodes. Each one breaks down the top 10 TV shows from a particular year, showing you what dominated the culture and what kind of flew under the radar. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, commenting, sharing, liking the video. Join us again for more deep dives into the shows, movies, and music that define generations. Until next time, stay curious, stay nostalgic, and don't forget.
Welcome to the OC, bitch.